Then I'm gonna play the other thing after you're done.
Gotcha. What is up? Welcome to the late sesh. I'm Skillbo1, and as always, I'm joined by Red Setter Farm. What's happening, everybody? I hope that you've had a good first day back to work, a little bit of Monday action, and you're able to sit down and smoke a few bowls with us. What's happening, Red?
What's going on, Scobo? What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone is having an awesome Monday. It's a good start to their week. Let's see here. I'm breaking up some Death Star right now, and I have some Rainbow Driver, some bottoms, some shake or some swag, I guess, if you will. Um, I fortunately got my next. I'm kind of in between cycles right now, so I'm kind of just like going through the personal stash, the last of the little bit of bottoms or whatever I have available, and waiting on some candied grapes and some strawberries and cream, to finish up drying and curing before I get a chance to sample those. So
No, that'll be the first time
pretty
with the
excited.
strawberries and cream, right?
It'll be my second time. I pheno tested it, checked it for female, checked it for some flavor, things like that. And this is actually the first time I'm running it in production, to catch a different environment flavor, lot much better yield, the whole nine. So so
Absolutely.
far so
So far, we have 24 people hanging out with us. I want to say shout out to Aldridge. What's happening? Dankman Dan is in the house. Dro, what's happening, Groskis? Seed to Soul, what's happening? And we have Lori is here. What's happening, like Unsalted Life? Tara is right behind her. Yeah, man. We also have Kazu. What's happening? Gabe, good evening. Zach Rogers, what's happening? Yeah, shit. Trey, cheers, Trey.
yeah. Now that I actually have it popped out and had that live chat hit myself, I want everybody to hit that
Uh,
live chat and hang out with us. That everybody's talking about what we do.
Daddy Red is in the house. Cheers, Daddy Red.
Daddy Red, what's going on?
Young Rio talking about the where are the Death Star seeds? As far as I know, Death Star has always been a clone only, so I don't really know of any like true Death Star by seed.
Yeah, I got it through the deep, deep underground, one of the local
Time,
provisioning centers.
fucking time machine. Cheers, Michigan native, cause I love it. Turp farmer. We got abolished farms in the house tonight. What's happening, bro? Nutrient shootouts. Cheers. Team Med 996. Yeah, so Sequence and I did a podcast earlier that we recorded with Optic Foliar. Something to look forward to as I cough my head off.
You need a break there, Scobo? You want me to take over for you for a second? Well, guys, this is officially the Red Center Farm Show while Scobo pops over here. Joy is right off the rip there at the late sesh.
Yeah,
Love it.
man.
Very love it. How you doing over there, Scobo? You better, buddy?
Good, man. I got
Yeah.
the four-way salad going on here with some of
What
that
was that?
CB.
What was that just made you cough there? What's in
That
it?
is Kiwanon copper, and that is headlights, and that is CBG, and I believe there's some skunk one in here too from earlier. So it's the cornucopia of cannabis flavors.
It really is. That sounds really good. Nice. One of the I'm never gonna get it tested, so I'll never know. But one of the strawberries and cream, when I had my air conditioner failure, I don't know, it's been 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks by now. It was day 35, 36. I mean, these things are quick with it. I mean, they're already crowning. They're already. I mean, they're. I don't know. I got another round like 3, 4 weeks in right now, and they're already like stacked. Right, crowns, full crowns, the whole nine. So they're like, I could probably pull them between 55, 60 days. I'd imagine. I usually take stuff like 63, 65 when they're going that early. Then usually the later 165, I usually take to like 70, 75. So, anyways, that's a different rabbit hole. These ones, uh, they, I pulled it on that day when it was, what, I don't know, 35, day 30, 32, 33, whatever. So I have one that's hanging, right? So I don't know, maybe there's some CBG in it. Might have a little bit of different profile to it. I tried smoking it. It was pretty heady. Definitely has some crystals and shit on it, believe it or not. Just
That's
from that
awesome.
little bit, you know.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
was
what, the day 30? I mean, there's hardly any structure to it, you know. But
I was telling
what do
Sequence when
others
I
have?
was in the flower room the other day. My plants are a lot taller now because I got better lights and shit. So the plants are tall over my head, and so when I was looking at it through the light, I could see the trichomes all the way down to the bottom of the leaf, all the way back to the branch with it. So I was like, "Oh hell yeah, man!" And I think I'm on day probably day 34 or something like that.
Yeah, that's always a good sign. Yeah. Sorry, I just got distracted here, guys. My that alert was actually my camera going off on my driveway out at the farm side to make sure there was
Are we still having
nothing.
issues with that shit, man?
No, this time it was just like a lightning bug or something. I had a
That are
stranger come.
dialed in on this super sensitivity shit, man. Fuck.
I actually turned it down. That sucker was going off because of shadows during the day going across the driveway. It was just constantly going off,
Yeah.
blowing through batteries left and right.
Blowing through batteries. I see Spartan Grown is in the chat. Cheers, brother. Yeah, this is pretty fucking smooth, man. It's kind of heady too at the same time. Um,
I bet. See, like, you just got a whole plethora of cannabinoids going on in there. I was smoking that rosaberry yesterday. I had another just little anxious week. You know, life's just kind of been crazy this past week, so I was trying to dial it down with a little rosaberry. I took some CBD supplements and stuff, and I don't know if it helped or not, man. I don't know if that rosaberry, if it's like if it's heady to the point where it almost boosts my anxiety slightly. Um, when I have anxiety, but like if I don't have anxiety, it just chills me out and I feel really,
okay.
really good. It's really strange how certain phenotypes can act when your response is like a panic attack or something like that, you know, and you're like smoking sativas, which usually keep you calm. Like for me, right? The sativa will normally keep me calm, keep me focused. It usually doesn't elevate my senses to not my senses. It usually doesn't elevate my mood too much to the point where like I'm getting overly anxious. But like indicas, like something really high in THC, uh, something really stony. Sometimes that can like kind of make me like anxious, too high type of feeling, you know. Whereas if I do have anxiety or I'm having kind of a panic attack, it's almost the complete opposite. I need to smoke the indica to kind of cool me down, and like the sativa will just like rattle my brains.
I remember
Very, very
that one
strange.
time that we were over at Old Man's house. When the hell? That would have been like January, I think. And I had started smoking really, really early in the morning. Drove over there, and then sat at the table with Old Man and Sequence for like 2 hours before anybody else showed up. Just went ham on it, right? Smoking the whole time. Then we go out to the barn. Everybody starts to show up, smoking, smoking, smoking. And about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that was like the first time I really had like some wicked anxiety going on from cannabis. And at first, I was like, "What the fuck is this bullshit, man?" Like, it's just chill out, dude. Just a little bit of smoke. But sometimes if you get a little too deep in your cups, there, you can
It
run away
wasn't
from it.
after I got there, was it? And passed around a big rosaberry joint, was it?
Oh yeah, it was like four
I wonder if
o'clock
that
because we
made
went in
it
the house
through.
and then we had the CBD distillate. Remember? We
Oh,
were dabbing that
that was
shit.
the okay, yeah, yeah, Flanks Glean Bean.
Okay, is
Yeah,
that
because
okay? Flanks Glenvig.
yeah,
There we go. So that would have
January I
been
was super
November.
duper late because of that snowstorm that we had to deal with.
I know, man.
Well, I
I
wasn't
left the
late
house
because
at
of it.
like 7 o'clock in the morning and it was going like 20, 25 miles an hour through 94 in downtown Detroit. Like
It's funny. I didn't
hanging
get there
on,
till
man.
like 4 or 5 p.m. and I live like a half hour from him.
Shit, I think
And
for Flex Gimby, we were there like fucking 10, 12 hours, man. We didn't leave till like 9 o'clock at night.
I came. I brought way too much stuff, so it took me like half the day to pack to get over there. Would I
You
bring
could
like
have
a
just
tote?
left it all behind with all of your
I
good
should have.
friends. And
I brought a tote of jars and I made salsa. I made all kinds of shit for the potluck, you
yeah,
know. So I
man.
spent all day prepping.
That's one thing that we'll say as a PSA is if you do have a get together in the future, uh, and you do have some medicated items on the menu, make sure that you have those like clearly marked. One thing that we did is we kind of had so much shit that we didn't really know what was medicated and what wasn't. So everyone had to ask us, "Is this okay? Is this medicated? Is this got dose?" So
And
it's just
try to
something
have
that's something to think
something
about, man.
try to have something non-medicated because there was a point where it was like, is there actually any actual food where anybody can really eat? We fortunately we had tacos and
We
stuff,
did, yeah, we did. It turned out well.
there could have been. I've definitely had that experience where it's like, oh man, there's like I'm starving, but if I eat anything, I'm gonna
My
be in La
warning to
La
it
Land.
would always be is my survival thing is assume that all sweet treats are probably medicated. Then all your surprises will not be catastrophic. Don't
I got
eat 5 or 6 cookies, man. Just don't grab those Spartan grown cookies. Like, oh my god, these are delicious. I think I'm just gonna have 3 or 4 of them. Slow
I
your
tried
roll there.
using the party cookie excuse to get out of, well, not really to get out of drug test, but really to explain why my drug test was going to be a positive. Um, I knew that I was going to fail a drug test, and I got popped on a random, and so like the next day I walked into my manager's office and I was like, hey, I was at a party last week and I ate some cookies that were hanging out, you know, a bunch of food and snacks and stuff. There's a plate of cookies and I think I got dosed. I was ripped and I think I might fail this drug test. And so he was like, oh, really? Okay, whatever. Well, no tolerance policy, lost the job. Anyways, learn about like a few months later, I'm talking to one of the guys that I used to work with, you know, and he's like, oh, yeah, they didn't believe you. He was like, oh, he should have changed the story. Maybe I would have believed brownies, but cookies? Who makes pot cookies? Ha ha ha. Dude, what the fuck?
Get with
Me?
the
I make
times
pot
there.
cookies. Yeah, man.
This dude's
Yeah,
like
man.
Leo from that '70s show.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Oh man. Let's take a look at chat here and see what's rolling on. We got 45 people chilling with us. I hope that everybody is smoking along with us. I gotta way advance my chat here. Somebody tried the back roll technique for you. That's good.
I have chat pulled up and I'm failing at following along, guys. I really apologize here. I'm focused on rolling up this Death Star, which is finally finished.
Lemony.
Lemony? No, not so much. A little piney, a little earthy. Not earthy. Reminds me of a day at a walk in the hike in the woods. Really, kind of got a little floral scent to it, like a fern. Pretty nice, man. It's nice.
Spartan's affirming that 3 cookies is fine. Get your weight up, son.
3 cookies is the right amount. So, chat, Scubo and I, we're shooting the breeze on this one. Anybody have a fun topic or want
We're
to
just
talk
gonna
about
yeah
anything
man our way
specific?
through this
Yeah,
fucking thing
because
like we do
we're
every
just
other
gonna
week.
yeah man and ramble on, man. And hash time's gonna roll around. We're gonna do the whole nine. So
Well, I can tell a quick story, and that was when I was at work on Friday. Uh, I got a message from Doc Dankenstein. He said he was in my neck of the woods. So once we figured out the times, he was like, "Well, I'll just drop by work." So he stopped by work and stood out there and bullshit with him for probably a half hour. It's good to be the boss sometimes. Uh, so he was nice enough to drop a bunch of samples on me. This one is T Shine. I have some, a couple of mystery ones. I have the GMO and flour, and I have the Zukis. And he sent me a really dope ass pipe. So it was really good to see him. Um, I know that he has had a hard day out there today, Doc. I'm thinking about your brother, and we really appreciate you. So cheers, Doc Dankenstein.
yeah, man. Shout out to him. I saw in the 2020 chat. I didn't go back too far. I
Same.
apologize. I'm not sure.
hold that up the right way.
I didn't get too nosy about what was going on with the day, but I saw that he was trying to quit smoking cigarettes,
Yeah.
which which I have experience with, and I saw he was using some of those CBD type of maybe hemp cigarettes or something like that.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Work it out, dude. I really, really, really hope that you're able to kick that habit. It is one hell of a crutch. What do you got there? Is that CBD, CBG?
And this is the CBG Mini. It's 100% hemp flower. It has 0.08 Delta 9 THC, and it has 0.16% of CBC, 16.77% of CBGA, 0.03% of CBDA. So I was telling them that what you could do is, let's say that you wanted to stop smoking and you had some of this. What you could literally do is you could take this, and you could even take your regular brand of cigarettes. You could empty your cigarettes out almost, you know what I mean? Like get them out of the tubes, turn around, grind up some CBD, put that shit in there, do a step down process. You start off with, you say, like 75% tobacco, 25% the hemp, and then you just work your way, after a few days until you get to the point where you're like 75% hemp, 25% tobacco. Keep on moving, and that would be what I would try. So, what you
I
could
had a
do is you
strain
could get
called
the old injector style, like I think it's Top that makes them, and you could just reload those up and go to town. So
I think Top does make
try
them.
to be healthy. I say
The
that as a cigarette smoker.
I had a strain called Rose. No, I'm thinking Roseberry. I had a strain called Bloodberry. All these berries. I had a strain called Bloodberry, and it really had this beautiful like pink fuchsia type of calyx to it. The bracts just went really, really pretty. It was one of my first like pink purple type of plants. I was really amazed by. I had a couple different phenotypes of it. One of them, they weren't real heavy hitters, And when it was time for me to quit smoking cigarettes, there was it was definitely more uplifting sativa type of a high. Not really
Sure.
sativa type of a high, but it was just nice daytime smoke. Um, I took the bottom, the whole kid and caboodle shake like this, right? Whatever I had left. I mean, it's all. I mean, there's really not much. A bunch of stems and leaves and stuff. It's sugar leaf, So I took a bunch of sugar leaf from the bloodberry, and that's what I smoked all day, and in a cigarette type of a fashion. Granted, I probably couldn't do that with most types of strains. I'd probably just get stoned and
Go to
weed
sleep.
coma for most of the day. Yeah, it probably depends on what I'd have smoked. My tolerances, I mean, I don't know. I smoke a few in the morning, a few in the midday, and a few in the evening. But when I was smoking cigarettes, I understand. I mean, you're smoking two packs a pack to 2 packs a day. That's 30 some cigarettes a day. I mean, it's almost one after another. I know how that goes. So you kind of really have to chase that habit. It's tough. It's a real tough one. So, I give it up to anybody who's going through it. I give it up to anybody who's going through it. For me, it was pretty much cold turkey. I had tried gum in the past. I've never really tried the patch, but I've tried gum. I've tried like dip, and I've tried trying to wean off. I've tried changing the nicotine levels and going like American spirits, and
Right,
then
don't
like
tell me that you picked up like
weaning
a
down.
corncob pipe and some pipe tobacco. It was your step down plan. Go to
It
the
was
big
close to it.
stogies.
Close to it. Close to it. I never really did the spliff deal. I never started mixing it with my. I never did the half and half or anything like that. I just cut it out. Went a day without it, and I had a DJing gig, and I had a backup cigarette. It wasn't mine, and I took it with me for the day. It was going to be my only cigarette for the day, and I took it all the way to the very end of the night. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning. I packed up my gear. So I'm gonna smoke this sucker on my way home. And I smoked it on my way home, man, and just I felt sick.
You're
I
like,
was like,
I'm
look
good.
at this.
Yeah.
I don't know, 18, 20 hours without a cigarette, almost 24 hours without a cigarette, smoked a cigarette. And it was the first time I had gone 24 hours without a cigarette. And dude, I don't even know, man. Years, 20 years. I don't know, 20 years probably. I'd never gone. I've always just been smoking cigarettes. Just since I was a kid. It's kind of stupid, but just how it was. It wasn't a pack a day when I was a kid, but it was just like, you're hanging out and somebody has a cigarette, puff it or hit it, whatever, and smoke your own or whatever. So, anyways, we all know how it starts. Uh, but getting off it, man, it was that second day where I was like, man, I really just felt ill off that cigarette last night. I'm just gonna do it. Like this is clearly not working out. My body don't like it no more for whatever reason. and it wasn't like my brand of cigarette or anything either. But I'd switched, like I said, I knocked it down to like American Spirit and tried like lowering my nicotine level. I don't know if that had something to do with hitting that Marlboro and it hit me in the ass, but it did. You know, I was like, ugh. Kind of felt like back when I put chewing tobacco in, you get a little bit too high. You
Your
know,
boy Roy Boy is asking. He says, "Did you get sick for a few days, like congested from the years of smoking?
oh yeah,
The
oh big
coughing
time. I
afterwards
was I
is
was sick for, I mean like, I was a constant cougher. I always had like a just like a low chest, you know, always constantly. It still kind of clear my throat, and I have a little gurgle, just from normal allergies and things like that. But it was bad for a really long time after I quit smoking cigarettes, and I would say I could feel I could feel my lung. I could feel all the stuff breaking up in my chest. And I have continued to smoke cannabis ever since. There's a huge difference in the smoke. Even though cigarettes are filtered, there's such a big difference in the smoke. I just went on a huge skateboard ride today. I'm a lot more long-winded than I used to be. It's been over 3 years now. 3 years, 3 years, 3 years and like 4 months or something like that.
good shit.
Um, and I mean, you guys hear me talk. I don't shut up. So I mean,
What?
I don't know how long I can hold my breath,
That's
but
that's that's the easy thing about this show is I just get you started, put a key in your back, wind you up, and I can sit back and fuck, man, you got this, bro.
I don't know if I could run around the block. But I can skateboard and rollerblade and stuff like that. And I definitely got my lungs back as far as that's concerned. For a long time, I was getting really worried about that because I didn't have the breath that I used to as far as going out and keeping up with my buddies. So
Yeah.
I really think I thank the ganja, man. It's been a good plant to help keep me motivated and get me off cigarettes and things like that. I never thought I was going to be a habitual smoker. You know, tried it a few times and then it was like nice with alcohol and it was nice to hang. I was a
Oh, dude,
Red Bull
yeah.
drinker, dude, and it was great with Red Bull. I mean, it just like complemented a lot of stuff really well. You know, I know how cigarettes go; it complements a lot of things. But that's why I enjoy cannabis because cannabis complements coffee better. You know, it just complements stuff better. I think.
Yeah. Oh man, I have been fucking with these blue mats, dude, since I got them, and I am trying to get these things adjusted right, and it's so frustrating because I have like a hybrid system where you have the carrots, the drippers, and the blue soak tape, which is like a Tyvek um, hose that you would use for like a soaker hose. So every night when I go in, I've got to screw around with them and shit. So I'm hoping to get that done, or I'm going to scrap those and I'm going to start using just a regular timer with, like the quarter-inch hosing and the sprayer heads. Dude, I can't be fucking around with all that stuff like that, man. Like I get it, it's cool, but I don't grow a cover crop. You know what I mean? So, man, I'm not going to sit there and beat my head against something for a month and a half in the garden. So, how do
Yeah, I'm
you
not used.
use yours
No,
for? You're automated for watering. What do you use?
I use these stupid, overly expensive quarter-inch valves, on-off valves with a little drip tee. Uh, I don't know what my pressure is. I want to say I couldn't even tell you what my pressure is. I don't have a gauge on it, but I have it regulated so it's a mild stream into my pot. I mean, I wish I could say it was a drip or a heavy drip or something like that, but it's more like a mild stream. Anything heavier, I guess, would be it shooting into the side of the pot. So the way that I regulate that is I just have a basic man, what is it? It's a 1/6 horsepower, 1/5 horsepower
One,
pump
okay.
from Harbor Freight. It's just a sump pump. It goes down to like it'll evacuate your reservoir down to like a quarter of an inch or something. It's just a regular evacuation pump. And then I have that hooked up to a minute second timer, so I can dial it in, down to like 30 seconds. I can dial it up to a minute and 30 seconds, whatever I want. That frequency changes throughout the plant's life. So every couple of days, I increase the time on the timer. So you have to be very careful about not to shut off your timer. Um, the pump pumps a like I said, I don't have a pressure gauge on it, but I want to say that it has, I don't know, man, it's a fifth horsepower. So I have it run through half inch line where right directly before it leaves the reservoir, there's a air line that comes out of the tube that prevents siphon. That allows when your pump shuts off. That's basically your anti-siphon. I just use a little elbow. I don't even do anything fancy. Just a little elbow. I don't buy a $20 valve or anything like that. Just an elbow, and I sink it right into my hose. Or if it was PVC, I would build a little elbow out of PVC and hook up a dripper off of that or something like that, and do it cheap. Anyway, the idea for that is when the pump shuts off, it allows a little bit of air back into that line, so you don't have a mess all over your floor, because what you're going to get is a gravity siphon. So from there, after it leaves the reservoir, it then goes into the matrix of manifold. Sorry, before it hits the manifold, it goes into the valve that controls the flow. So it's just a basic ball valve to control my flow, and then it goes into the manifold in the matrix that splits off into each plant. There are six. Let's see here, for 18 to 20, for 12 to 24 plants. Let's call it 12 to 24 plants. There are six octa drippers, octa
Active
bubblers,
bubblers,
whatever.
yeah,
Octa
those are
bubblers,
cool
yeah.
as shit.
So they can screw onto a half-inch threaded PVC line, so you can get basic half-inch threaded PVC hose fitting, half-inch, not three-quarter-inch hose, but half-inch. I think it's like FTP or something. I don't know. It's different thread than hose. Um, so off of that, there are eight quarter-inch lines that go off of each octobubbler, 8 times 6. What is that? 48. And
I
then
knew he could do it. I didn't want to help him. I was like,
Well,
wait a
well,
minute.
I'm thinking. Well, no, because I wasn't even thinking of the number in my head. I was trying to think because I can have 24 and I can have two on each pot. I was just trying to make sure that 48 seemed like a really high number. I was like, why is that so high? But if I have 24 plants, there goes my thing again. If I have 24 plants, then I actually have two drip emitters going to each plant.
Right.
And each drip emitter has a on-off valve, and each drip emitter has it's just a quarter-inch spaghetti line that goes to an
Right.
on-off valve that also goes to a little T, and then the T just left and right. And then so
So
I have two of those going into each pot.
Sequence was showing me today a similar thing. He used the quarter horsepower sump pump, and then he had the 3/4 inch 25 psi reducer, and then you run that to uh, the hose line that you're going to
I
do,
do have a reducer. You're right.
and then
You're right. Thank you.
I got you, bro. I got you.
I do have a 25 psi.
Otherwise, I should
What
be
is it?
spraying out
Is
of there
it
like crazy.
25?
It should be
It's
25 psi. Anything less than 40 is what I was reading today.
Rainbird. I think it's Rainbird product. It's either Rainbird or Mr. Dripper, Mister Dripper. Mr.
The,
Dripper is who I was getting it's all like Boxster. It's from Lowe's.
yeah. He was
A lot
showing
of
me
the stuff
Home
from Lowe's.
Depot with a company called Dig.
Dig. Okay.
Yeah, and then he like at the end you can put the sprayers on, and it would be like 3 to 16 gallons per hour with a ability to adjust that on the side. So I was like, okay, that could work.
Yeah, see,
Because
I
it's just a
never
water only solution. I'm not using any kind of nutrients. I've got the
I
soils
never
organic.
I never got myself familiar with any gallons per hour or how many gallons go into a pot or anything.
Well, my plan wasn't to put it on a timer. Mine was to basically go in there, figure out how long the drippers will take. Do a little bit of math, and then plug it in. And then when it gets down to the bottom, just unplug it manually, and then refill my reservoir back up, let it off gas, and then go back through and do it again when it needs to.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the way my scenario is set up is I just I control it by time. So I keep everything open flow. I
Yeah.
take
What
all
did?
of the I take all the reducers out of the octobubblers, because you can get you can get like two or three different octobubblers. You can get them, or you can change out the internal guts on them. The
Now,
internal
did you get
pieces are
those at a box store? Or did you get
different
those at a
size.
hydro?
No, I got those at Hydro Store, but you can get them at box. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them so many different makes and brands of those things. They're you can get them in quads. You can get them in duals. You can get them in I think dual from Mr. Dripper at Lowe's. You can get them in. You used to be able to get them in 3/4 inch duals, which was nice because you could hook it up to like a hose fit in, which was kind of cool.
You have to look at
And
this chat.
then
They are talking about the abolished farms intro that we did for the video, and
oh, it's great.
they're saying that sequence is hot as a wand.
Shaking it. Shakira.
It was funny as fuck.
Digging it.
And then Red, that I was like, I don't know who's my favorite with the sequence of Red, man.
There's a couple on the side there. There's a couple on the side. I saw them. We all saw them.
You know, we do this show not just to, try to have conversations about cannabis. We do try to make people laugh because laughter is a great medicine in itself, man. And
Hell yeah.
in these trying times, people take shit way too serious, and sometimes you just need to loosen up a little bit and have a good laugh. So
Yeah, the world got crazy.
we have
So,
68
gotta
people
be
chilling
happy.
with us right now. So I want to say cheers to each and every one of you. I hope that you had a mellow day and that you're able to unwind, smoke a little bit of herb, and enjoy the rest of your night.
I agree.
Sorry, Trey, I don't know why I timed you out. Probably to get you on the punctuation shit again.
Dun, dun,
That
dun, dun.
yeah, man. At least he's regular, so he knows that Streamlabs is known to have sucker attacks from time to time. Get a little too overzealous in the timeout bullshit. Cheers, Rick Will.
I got to figure something out of my outdoor. It's about to be dry season for these cannabis plants.
What you gonna do?
They're about to start putting on their flowers, and I'm gonna have to modestly water. I don't know, man. I'm not too worried. When they put bud sets on, they can get wet. They like have a phenomenal way of repelling water if they're growing correctly. Just like it's that scary time of year when the temperatures start dropping. I'm unfamiliar.
Shit,
with
it's
some of the
90 fucking
genetics.
degrees out today, bro. We ain't got to worry about no damn temperatures dropping right
I'm
now.
not worried about now. I'm worried about my watering scenario in like September type of thing, which I'm kind of trying to prepare for now. So I'm thinking I need to do like soaker hose and stuff like that probably out there.
Soaker
I'll
hose
just
works
drop-
great, man. Really does, especially if you bury it underneath a little bit. You know what I mean, and then you put some kind of mulch on top of it. It keeps it from drying out so quickly.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that you can do if you are not close to your garden and you can't get to it every day. Is consider putting down some kind of mulch layer around it.
I would be just dropping on top at all times anyways, because I'm constantly just chopping and dropping. I'm constantly just laying down grass, clippings, and all of that. So I'm thinking soaker hose. Right now I'm running a sprinkler, and like one of my sunflowers got a little, I don't know if we had a really, really humid night. Like I came home the other night and it was just driving through a cloud, dude. It was just fog settled in really, really heavy in my area. And I noticed the next day that a couple of my sunflowers had a little bit of PM on them. My lilac bush, boom, just covered in natural. Of course, it was covered in PM. Should have known better. But then I noticed on one of the grape apes, believe it or not, I was very surprised. I had to pull off a couple of leaves because I think there was some PM on a couple of leaves.
Don't fucking say that.
Really surprised. Bro. I was really surprised about this hot,
especially on the grape ape.
Especially on the grape ape. Didn't have any issues. I had a couple. I had to pull a couple of leaves last summer because of it.
Yeah.
How
about that GDP?
It was only one out of like, I think there's a good 6 grape apes out there. So it was only one of them.
So since Spartan is still with us, I wanted to let him know that I went out to my outdoor plants today, and I have 2 Spartan growns outside, and they're still surviving. So and they don't even look that fucking ratty. So hey, man, you'll be all right.
Are they the ones that you had planted out in your landscaping?
I took those to a different location
Oh, okay.
and set them out there. So I planted them directly in the ground. I didn't do the fabric pots or anything. I was like, fuck it, man. Just toss these bitches in here and come back. It's great because they're
I
surrounded by
say the
so many other
ground's
plants
a
and
way to
shit.
go. You know, if it's not being turned into a smokable extract, you know, for I just don't. And the only reason I say that is because I got an old farm field that I'm dealing with. So I don't know if anybody else has an old farm field they're dealing with. Like, but when I say that, I mean
So you
that
have high
my
levels
sub.
of what?
I don't know. I just never got my soil tested, so I have no idea. I just know that all surrounding me used to be, you know, cornfields. So I'm only assuming, and hay and all that other stuff. Right down the road, I mean, they've already harvested their first round of hay. I mean, that hay should have been green. It's so, yeah, fields of gold right now, man. Fields of gold from Roundup being sprayed on the hay to kill off the hay just so they can plow it down, bale it up, start the next crop. I never really realized it.
I'll be right
Um,
back. I got to go
yeah,
upstairs.
go ahead. Leave me alone with this conversation. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I never really realized it. So I take back roads to and from my farm, and I notice, wow, it's awfully early in the season for crops to be for entire hundreds of acres of fields to be so golden brown. You know, um, but yeah, they've already baled up first round of hay and wheat. So I'm only assuming that they probably killed it off with a weed killer or something. So if that type of scenario had happened here on my property, you know, before I moved in, big subdivision, you know, a couple hundred houses, maybe there's 1,000 homes in my subdivision. I don't know, you know, a couple hundred acres probably got plowed. It was all old cornfields. And most of the time, you know, there's a good chunk of either topsoil or there's no topsoil and it's all clay. If there's topsoil, they'll take it and they'll sell it. And if not, they leave you down to the clay. And if there is no topsoil, it's probably because there's just been years and years of pesticides and heavy metals and high phosphorus fertilizers. So I'm only expecting high phosphorus fertilizers and things for me. So old school board, am I running? That's if you're talking about the long board on Instagram, maybe. Then you're talking about old Sector 9. Uh, Otherwise, if you're talking about my soundboard, I'm running a Mackie. Uh, I'm not running a board for my lighting though. So, snowboard Burton. I hope I answered that question, Aldridge. I don't know, man. I'm just sitting here vibing with you guys. Oh, yeah, I feel you. Spartan, yeah, totally. It is time for the wheat harvest. But yeah, man. So if you're seeing a bunch of big bales of hay and straw out right now, ready to rock, take a well, I don't advise take a huge whiff, but give it a little stink, a little smell first, and see if it smells like chemicals. There's a good chance that the reason that it got plowed down was because they sprayed it and killed it with probably some kind of a Roundup or something similar. So, oh yeah, Eldridge, yep, Sector 9, from I don't know how old school it is, but it's probably 10 years, good 10 years old. Barron's still good. Pretty happy about that. Yeah, Spartan. So you're totally right, man. I'm rehabbing the land. I'm adding some microbes. I'm adding a lots of biomass. You know, basically just growing. Like the last year and this year, my plan is to just grow stuff. I just want to grow. I'm really the cannabis is a lot of compost. Like I want as much of that leaf material, the bottom end, and if I get some good smokable product off of it, I'll be happy. But that's what I have indoor cannabis production for. If I can get some good like FSO, some good cannabis oil off of the outdoor, I'm gonna be even happier. But again, you know, I'm not too worried if if I get a bad rain season and I get bud rot or something and everything has to get composted because I want the biomass right now. I'm growing sunflowers for biomass. I'm growing everything that I can right now just to kind of chop it all up. I'm letting my thistles, I'm letting my dandelions grow. I'm trying to get those deep, heavy roots going down, breaking up the the clay and trying to get down in that compaction. So, but yeah, man, yeah, I'm definitely trying to rehab the land. So I'm tossing in a little bit of recharge. I'm tossing in some tribus and as many random microbes as I kind of can find. I have a burdock or rhubarb or something similar. I like to chop that up and amend with, not really amend, but top dress with the leaves from that, any and all grass clippings, and just
Right.
all about the organic matter right now because it's all clay, and I want to get worms active. What I notice is in the fresh clay, the activity of worms and bugs is a lot less active than in the areas that I was able to cover up last season with compost, and not really compost, but like leaves and grass and everything.
Organic matter.
Like, oh man, the areas, the second season beds are just loaded with worms and roly polies and everything. Every little bit of ground critter that you kind of want in healthy soil is out there, and it's really just layered leaf matter and compost over top of like clay. So like it's hardly even turning into like good soil, you know? It's just like this two separate layers. Now next year I'm expecting there to get a little bit better. Following year a little bit better, a little bit better. It's just going to keep getting deeper
Yep.
and deeper. That organic matter is going to slowly get turned in naturally by the bugs and the little ground critters that are running around. And there's mice, there's all kinds of shit out there. So you know,
Sure.
we got cats, we got everything. So I love it, man. It's permaculture, and the whole idea is just diversity. You know, trying to grow as many different types of flowers and plants and try to attract, and it's all experimental. You know, I'm hoping
Sure. It's your
for
personal laboratory.
hoping for the knowledge to see what I can do. Yeah, it's kind of like the idea is like the shit hits the fan type of garden, right? I'm trying to figure out how can I garden a plot of land that I could grow my food and my medicine on without having to source a bunch of materials, right? Granted, I had to source some stuff from box stores like fencing and things like that, but I'm trying my best not to source things like compost. I'm trying not to source different amendments. I have sourced azomite and stuff like that, but
But like a lot of your things, it's your leaves and things like that. You're either collecting them yourself or you're collecting them locally when you see big leaf piles and shit around the neighborhood. You're like,
right,
"Ooh, I'm gonna go get some lawn
right,
leaf flags and scoop that up from my yard."
yep,
Then
yeah,
you've got Chris and Rick in the chat that are
logs.
saying about radishes and things like that. I know Spartan and you even have grown radishes. Didn't you
Lots
do
of,
that
oh
in the
yeah, yeah.
first year? Yeah.
Radishes. So I seeded with radish, pretty much all over, and then what I did was I pulled a few to eat. I let most of it go, and radish, they can get pretty tall. They can get 2, 3. I don't know. They probably could get 4 feet tall if you let them, but they can get a couple feet tall. The flowers will go, and then they'll get all these pods. Personally, I think that the radish plant, you'll get more food if you let it go to pod than just. I've gotten a couple good solid golf ball size radishes, right? Maybe bigger, but I've gotten a stalk of pods, and if you eat them when they're small enough, they taste just like the radish. Give or take, you might get more weight of pods than you could off of the radish. So I don't know what your flavor is for the salad. So I like to eat pods. So I'll let them mature a bit, or you let the pods mature and they get a little hard and fibrous. So you don't eat them after they get too big, and then you let them go. They go to seed. So I let half the radish garden just go to seed, and then it self seeds. I'll pick some of them and you know, put them in the garage and hope put them somewhere else. But they self seed. They fall down, and I'll just not really compost them in, but I'll just throw all the grass clippings and shit right on top of the fallen over radish pods and everything. And next season, I'll just get radishes. This year, all my radishes are all volunteer. In all the videos, there's little white flowers, little pink flowers everywhere. That's all radish. There's just radish flowers. There's radish pods. I can walk out there and just snack on radish pods. I don't have to pull the radish out. Radish root is delicious, man. Um, I like the spice of it, but I think that there's a big benefit with the radish.
With you doing so much of your own growing for foods, I think like the next logical step for you outdoor is to look into some of the KNF procedures and
Mm-hmm.
making things like that, like the FPJs and stuff.
I did the dandelion FPJ. Just the flowers of the dandelion. I was shooting for
Well,
potassium.
remember
I
you
think.
mentioned that a while ago, but you never really reported back on what your results were.
I
If it was
used
just a
well, I used it. No, it was good. I got a little. What did I get?
little something, something.
100 milliliters, I think. I think it ended up being about 100 milliliters in a ball jar, which has since then dried out completely. So, yeah, it dried up. I should have used it maybe fast. Maybe I should have put a lid on it. I didn't. I don't know. I don't. I'm not familiar with long-term storage on the stuff, so it kind of went out. I don't know if I can add water to it and it still be good. I mean, if we're talking minerals, I would imagine it'd still be good. Maybe it's still water soluble.
I
I
think I
don't
would
know.
go by the smell. If it smelled funky, like like it had turned into alcohol or something, I might be a little reticent to use it.
Yeah, well, there is a vinegar that can be created after it also. I don't know. So I
Yeah.
think that it might be a little
Spartan in the chat is saying, I let my spinach go to seed and I left them standing. Now the birds are coming in to eat the seeds and they're shitting in my bed. Stop
no
dressing for
shit.
me. The cycle of life, Spartan.
Yep.
You got it,
Yeah,
bro.
totally. Yep. Yeah, yeah, dude. What is it? Chard. I like letting the chard, collards, spinach. I let all that stuff go to seed, man. So like my brassica bed is basically my it's all that stuff. So it's all radishes and I just let it all seed out. It bolts. I mean, once the temperatures hit 90, 100 degrees, I mean, they bolt like crazy and they go bitter. And at that point, I'm like, well, I'm not going to pull it. I'm going to let it go to seed. And that way next year, I don't even have to plant it. So that's like a couple of my beds are pretty much just, what are they? Volunteer beds, you know? And
Yeah.
then I go through and I put in whatever else to kind of fill the gaps because it all doesn't come back. You know, doesn't fill in. What I really want is I want it to come in like grass, man.
Sure.
I want the spinach to come back and the radish. I want it to come in so thick that that the
It's cover
dandelions and the
croppish.
thistles aren't even. Yeah, I want that to be my cover crop. So the idea is I'm trying to get a food based cover crop essentially. I guess we could have shortened the entire conversation to just that, but that'd be boring. So, and it is 13 minutes to hash time, by the way. So
Uh
I'm gonna go
oh.
clean
There
up.
we go.
I gotta go chill them. I think this time.
I'm using the tag pipe that Doc got me. This thing is, I always love steamrollers, man.
That is
And
cool, man.
yeah, but
It's
it's
very
nice.
nice.
It's really nice. It's got a huge hole on both ends. So
Yeah.
she's a smooth ripper.
Looks thick too. Looks like a solid glass piece.
Yeah, she's a heavy one.
Solid piece of glass.
Um, so I still have, what do I have at hand? I still have some of the scarlet cane hash. So I think I'm going to go back in on that again. And I might do that with a little bit of GMO flour from Doc. So it'd be all garlic.
There you
Garlic.
go. That sounds good.
You know what this bowl needs is more
Garlicky.
garlic.
Garlicky. Sound like a trip to Red Lobster.
Yeah, man. Garlic cheddar biscuits.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
You know
I've
the
been
problem
itching for
is
the
we start talking about
experimental.
hash time. So I'll pack this bowl right now and I'll top it and I'll show it off to everybody and you'll start talking about some interesting shit and I'll be like, uh-huh. Then I'll fire it up and it'll be like, God damn it, man. I've done that so many times. Fuck.
Yeah, yeah. Were you fired up like 5 minutes before hash time
Sure. Yeah.
or 5 minutes after hash time?
Epic fail. Yeah, see, Dro has got some of that select phenotype, sugar cane too. That's so good. Shout out to both Dro Grows and Select. Who else do we have in chat that I'm looking at? Weed is 207, Red Eye Rustler, Normish, cheers. Fresh Cut Farms, what's happening? We were talking about you earlier off screen.
Great turnout in chat tonight. Oh, sorry about that, guys. I should...
It's over there crinkling fucking potato chip bags. Don't be that person.
Making rookie mistakes, I know. The still picking little bottoms out of this. Look at I show a bud and it just
You've
goes
got the
to
green screen, so it looks like the cosmic sun background.
my hand. I got a hole in my hand.
That's it.
That's cool.
Red has stigmata this evening.
Yes. So a little bit of rainbow driver
Ooh.
for the hash screen here. And then I think I'm gonna go.
Red, I want some of that. If
What
you
believe,
if
man?
you do any kind of sifting on that, dude, I gotta get a little jar for that.
I'm going to do. I think I've got this bag, and I think I've got another crop's worth of the rainbow, which I can homogenize.
Nice.
I think I'm gonna do a dry sift run. I think I'm gonna do a. I think I'm gonna freeze the bags, and I think I'm gonna use. I think I'm gonna use my bubble bags, and I'm gonna try to manifest a phenomenal dry sift run. I think I'm gonna try to pull a couple of different grades, and I think I'm going to try to heat and squish and try to make like a edible like one of like the purest grades. But I don't know how. I don't even know what size micron I'm going to use. It might be like a 90 micron, whatever will melt. Because 150, I have a hard time melting 150. When I use 150, just like trim bin screen, and it's all 150, and I try to lay like heat to apply heat to it, it'll solidify. It'll get a little gooey, but then it'll like when it cools down, it will just kind of look like a hash puck, like get all crispy. It won't turn into it won't turn into fudge. You know what I mean? I want hash that turns into I want like a temple ball that turns into fudge. I don't want a little brick, a little brittle brick, right? So I think I'm going to do a couple of different grades to where I can heat up maybe the I don't know, smaller micron, I suppose, version, and maybe do like a little because I want to do like edible hash, right? Already decarboxylated with the water bottle, the whole nine, but still like smokable as well. So
Telling you, dudes.
something I can
So
munch on, something I can smoke on.
I want to come over. I want to fucking tutor under you. I want to watch you do this. It'd be fucking great, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a little drum circle with it.
Yeah, now we're talking. We're gonna keep it old school.
Old school. Do a little drum circle with it. I'm gonna, I might do a little washing. I might get some ice, but I think I'm gonna leave the water out of it. I think I'm gonna leave the water out of it, and then I think I'm just gonna do the dry sift, and then from the dry sift, I'm gonna go FSO. Um, man, I'm just full of all kinds of noises over here tonight, aren't I? Sorry, guys.
Wait a minute. That's time for you to use your soundboard. Or you're not sharing your sound anymore. That's the problem. Earlier, Red was regaling us pre-show with some music and little soundboard things that he had. So, oh man, Monday is almost over. Drop it about half that. There we go. Want to tell him about that? Name drop your dude.
Yeah, I gotta unmute myself first before I can do anything, I suppose. This is a good buddy and band Liquid Thickness out of the Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti, Detroit area here in Michigan. Check out Liquid Thickness. They are on Spotify. This song here is Kodak, actually. My good friend is partner in wedding service that we do. So he's actually the lead singer of this band, and we share a name. Pretty cool. Literally, our names are the same.
Literally,
Spelled
the
different.
same.
Spelled different, but the same.
What's the thing with your name? You can spell it so many different ways. And no, we're not talking about red. How many different ways could you spell red? You could spell it rojo.
Red.
I guess your name in Spanish would be like, what would it be? Rojo Pero?
Rojo Pero. Everybody's going to figure it out now. They will fade it out.
Crank that funky music.
Why?
Yeah, we, a lot of times if you try to share music and you don't have the express written consent of the NBA, you're not allowed to retransmit, rebroadcast, otherwise disseminate this product in any other manner.
I don't know why. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Death Star, man. I think I'm gonna go. I gotta smoke this stuff up.
You know what? I still have some.
Somebody was asking me if. Oh, it was Yeti Stash asked me if I watched this, and it was funny because I was about to answer with him like, "No, I've never really watched it. I've only ran dry sift because I've got this thing of dry sift and it came out like hella green long time ago. This is March 28th, 2018. So this is a couple years old. Sorry guys, ruining your ears over there. A bit of contamination in there with the green material, but Still smells like this bucket of fresh Death Star right next to me, to be honest with you. Um, yeah, I'm really impressed with the way dry sift holds up in the nose.
Yeah, I gotta find. I still got some of that dementia still floating around too.
It's a lot different than I have this water hash here, and this stuff. This is from July of 2019, so a year and a half later, another loud ding. Sorry guys, I almost broke a bowl that time.
Here it is.
All right, so
Focus for me, baby. Dementia.
now it still has a similar smell, and this here's the water hash version of the Death Star. Like, all over my keyboard, probably. Just a little bit.
Yeah, see, I have the water hash version of the Death Star. I don't have the dry sift.
Yeah, so the dry sift is a year and a half older, but actually has more of a fresh smell to it.
Got some serious CBNs going on with it, I'm sure.
I am sure. I'm sure if I smoked that, it would go sleepy time pretty instantly here.
12:58, and you've been listening to the Late Sesh. So, if anyone didn't catch the Bro Show live stream last night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you missed out on two of our new panel members. So we started off with Dankman Dan, shout out to him, and we also have Yeti Stash. So I think it was really cool. They both really contributed to the overall conversation, and they just kind of fought their way into it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I got something to say on this. So um, I really like bringing in the newer people and getting, you know, uh, some more points of view and different texts and things like that. So thanks to Yeti, thanks to Dan. Appreciate you both. Looking forward to a lot of shows.
Yeah, it's really cool. The group is growing. I like it. Everybody seems to be on the same wavelength, which is really nice. We all do different things, right? We all grow differently, but we all seem to be on the same wavelength as far as
I just want to learn, man. I don't care. I
acceptance.
just want to learn something.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant.
This is a little bolder
I
of
changed my mind, Scobo.
what are you going with?
Well, I'm gonna have this Death Star hash here for this last hour because I know I'm just gonna stick with the chillin' once I go to it.
Once you're on it, right?
Yeah, but what I'm gonna do first before the Death Star water hash is I'm gonna go with some of this. This is December 2019 Apollo 13. There's not much in this jar. A little bit on the
There's not
bottom.
much in this jar. Shit. Somebody out there is like, bro, I'll take that.
I know. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I sound like I grow my own stash when I say that. Let me see. Says
Rick is asking about Kate. Just summertime stuff. That's all. You know what I mean? People get busy. Nice color.
yeah,
on that.
the same reason why we haven't done any Frugal Force that usually is on Saturday nights. If anybody out there is a fellow Frugal Force viewer, we are coming back with that. Abolish has a excellent season lined up. We have at least 10 solid episodes lined up and ready to rock and roll.
You guys
Probably
have
a
a
little
rough.
closer to end of summer. Yeah,
Okay.
not really. At least I haven't heard a rough date yet, but I think we're gonna give it a few weeks. We're gonna let the last of summer. I think after the grow off and stuff like that, once all that stuff settled down. Yeah, start
Oh.
getting into some more. And shit, the grow off's just in a couple weeks. It's already July 20th, so we're looking
The
just a couple
9th,
weeks.
man. Yeah. I know that I have an announcement. I talked to Dankman Dan before the show went live, and he said that he will come on the late sesh. So there's going to be a little crossover from Wake and Bake with the Groskies. That Dan's going to bring that energy to the late sesh. So shout out to him. It's always good to talk to him.
Oh man, Dan's gonna make me end up having to wake up early, isn't he? Have to
You gonna
jump
you
on
gonna
with you
crash
guys.
the wake and bake?
I
Come
might
on
have to
through, bro.
crash your wake and bake one day.
Yeah, man. We dropped the numbers, and we have a few people planned to come on the wake and bake with the groceries too. I'm not going to disclose who that is yet, but
Hash time.
is it
Happy
that
hash
magical
time.
time? It is. Let me grab the ubiquitous bell. Let me put my
Oh,
joint
see, that
down.
wasn't bad. I got headphones on. I
I'm
like
working on
it.
it, bro. I'm working on it. And I want to say cheers to, I see 58. There may be more, but my
58.
screen
Cheers,
is not
58.
refreshed.
58 sounds great. It's midnight, not even late.
Red's
Happy
over
hash
there
time,
trying to
58.
live up to that intro we got. There we go. Get this nice and lit. Come on, baby. Not yet. With the
Oh,
grow off coming to an end,
mm.
I'd like to say on that, when we started that, it was a good way for people to, build a community. And I look at all of the friendships that the people that have been involved, especially in the daily chat and stuff like that. And so many of you are in the chat right now. Cheers, Doc. Doc is one of them. Dan, Tara, Michigan Medicated, Narwhal, Normish, Select. I mean, there's so many people. So, um, I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's nice to meet like-minded people you can have conversation with, not just about cannabis, but other things as well. So, cheers, chat.
Yeah, you get a group of people to open up to. It ends up becoming like when you work with a bunch of people, you kind of get like your second family, get your work family. You know, um, this definitely becomes the grow family. There totally is such a thing. What's really cool is that it you know there's people probably from all over. I mean, Tara's from Ohio. I mean, right there's an immediate example.
Well, pretty soon we should be getting a little bit of our transatlantic viewers will be coming online. They'll be doing their wake and bakes while we're doing our late stuff. So,
Yeah, dude. Shout out. Am I getting this right? Green 13. Am I getting that right? Green 13 from over the pond.
yep, you
Is
can.
that who I'm getting right?
Yeah,
Yeah, dude. Shout out. He's gonna be on the Frugal Force with us, I believe. He's gonna be trying to jump on. So
excellent.
yeah, man. I'm trying to think. What else I had going on in the garden this week, which was so last week I was talking about how I'm running like dude, like sub 25 watts of T5 light on my 2x4s, right? Because I got like one flickering gymnasium, not gymnasium light, but little hallway light
It sounds
buzzing
like a
around there.
slasher movie light, the kind that buzzes and
Yeah, dude,
shit,
walk
just
into the grow room,
periodic.
it just looks like
Yeah,
he's gonna come on
somebody's gonna get fucking
behind the
stabbed in there.
curtain and get you. The so I went to the box. I went to Lowe's and they were four 4K 4,000K 4,000 Kelvin T5 LED T5. I don't know. I really don't know which way you'd put those in order, but that's what they are. They're T5 bulb. They're
I've
T5
seen those before.
bulbs, but they're LED
Now, are they
lights.
the white kind, or are they like the blue and the red tubes? 'Cause I've
They're
seen
a
those
lot
too.
more. They're a lot more of like a white.
Excellent.
To me it's yellow, but I'm so used to like
Your
I think I got a pretty
6,500 blues.
yeah, they're like 6400 blues, 6400K blues. So I'm really used to that. And you go in the room and it's like to me that's like whiter, but it's really just hella blue. And then I got these ones that kind of offset it a little because there's still one of those bulbs floating around on each one of the lights. So it kind of offset a little bit. But it's nice, man. Everything's responding really well. It didn't heat up the room, which was really nice, but it definitely brightened it up. And I added, you know, 75 watts to each of these lights, you know. So I
Sure.
mean, there's a little bit more going over each of these 2x4s. So I'm not neglecting my plants as much as I was. You know, the cloudy days are finally over, and they're finally gonna be able to start picking up pace.
Cloudy
So
days, Red. Cloudy days.
yeah, dude. Well, you know, and it's a temporary fix because I'm just waiting on the fluents on back order. So once those come in,
You're
you know,
still
I'm
2 months out on those, right?
yeah, who knows? Who know? I haven't even gotten the I haven't even heard the word yet. It
Word is the
was
words,
a couple of weeks ago. It was we're gonna give you the word on the shipping date.
right?
Weeks. So I should be getting the word on the shipping date anytime now. And then from there, you know, I'm probably looking at a couple more weeks. So, but supposedly, I didn't order them directly through Fluence. I went through my hydro shop who already has them, who doesn't have them, who already has a backlog of orders type of thing to where, you know what I mean. So they're already ahead of the game. I'm just got to get it from them. So they just have to get their shipment first. So we'll see
It's
what
really going
happens.
to be, when you do something like that, if you change your veg lights and you make them a lot more powerful, you have to really be careful because you can be like Mickey Mouse with the Sorcerer's Apprentice. You can get your veg going so hard and so strong that you don't have the ability yet to flip those into flower because you're waiting on something else. So now you have to whack them all the way back or dim those lights or whatever it may be. But anytime that you change something like that, it's sometimes a little bit of a first time learning curve. That's what I'm facing right now. With I've got these monsters that, I was planning on a little bit more stretch than HPS as far as like solid new growth, not like stretchy, distance between nodes. But the amount of growth that I've seen after I switched this run to the quantum boards is, I'm like, fuck, man. So I have a headlights that is completely towered over by a GG4. So I'm probably only going to have, the very top two or three nodes will be butted out because they, just the size difference thing. So yeah, your abacus will runneth over.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of you'll get a lot of good bottom medicine though. Those giant plants.
Well,
You're gonna get
everything
you're gonna
under the
get some
screen
good.
is gone, like shaved legs, you know.
Oh, okay, okay.
So, but I still have a probably 24-inch solid canopy that, there's a little bit of judicious plucking here and there to make sure that nodes aren't completely covered by leaves or, you know, tuck, shuck, whatever you want to call it. Um, but I would love to try to take those and make my own sift and then go for a temple ball. That'd be really, really cool. Never tried that before. Get the old big hot bottle and roll away. I watched. I'll give a shout out. Is someone that I've watched do that was Dank Duchess. I know Jack is in the chat, so I know Jack has watched her before. But she has one on making temple balls and stuff. That's pretty cool. It's an older video.
There's a there's a fear that kind of like shivers up you when you're like putting all of your weight and force on a glass bottle filled with boiling water. It's like if this thing breaks, I'm scolding my hands and there's probably going to be a shard of glass going through it.
Why you got to
So
get that thick ass absolute bottle? That big tall boy or something.
use yeah, you got to use a really really strong bottle. And uh I like to use a good towel and
Yeah.
I should probably use leather gloves or something to be honest. I never, but you know,
When's the last time
that's
you
the way
made a
it
temple
is.
ball? Have you ever done it?
Well, no, man, because I've been trying to use this 150, and that's what I mean. Every time I try to press it, I've only done it kind of in a rush, like, oh, I'm going somewhere in a couple hours. I'm gonna try to bring a temple ball, so I'm gonna try to, make one real fast. And it doesn't really work. So the last time was maybe the get together in January. I think I squeezed some flow, but it was a really really old product. It was like all of 2019's uh, trim and whatnot. And then I did a homogenized dry sift batch out of that, which I still have a decent amount of. So I tried taking a good couple grams and just pressing that. It didn't really stick too well, but again, that was all 150 screens. The Rainbow Driver, much more fresh, fresh round. It just finished up within the last, I don't know, 60 days or so. And I had put that one through the 150 screen, and just before the float, actually. And then I tried pressing that one. And again, man, maybe I just didn't do it long enough, but I tried for a really, really long time. And it just wouldn't get gummy or gooey. You know what I mean? It pressed and it got hard and it solidified, and I got a hash nug, and that's what I smoked on the float and on the show. I think the next night, but otherwise, I have a hard time getting it out of that 150. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna drop it down to like the 90. I think still gonna keep the one. I'm gonna go like whatever I get between 150 and 90. I'm gonna keep, and that's gonna be food grade, smokable, whatever. But I'm going to use. I think I'm gonna try. I'm gonna go with 90. I'll experiment, man. If that 90 doesn't work, then I gotta go lower and see where the tweak this. Then it's probably gonna change different strains and whatnot. So it's gonna be a fun, long, long process of.
It's fun to smoke the results too.
Yep. It's fun to age it, dude. It's really fun pulling out one of these old dry sift jars that's from, I mean, right now it's only 2 years old. It's gonna be really fun when they're like 5, 6 years old. I have a feeling this
Sleeper,
stuff's gonna,
man.
yeah.
Sleeper.
I don't really have to worry about moisture issues with it. I don't have to worry about the plant material degrading and falling apart. I mean, for the most part, just resin glands. I mean, there's some contaminant and some plant material, but I'm not getting the smell of hay. I'm not getting the smell of ammonia. I'm not getting the smell of like broken down weed that's been sitting in a jar, It's great. Big fan of the dry sift. No, I mean, I got this water hash right here that I'm breaking up. Nice and gooey in my hands. So don't get me wrong, I love this stuff. Um, it's just more of a flavor thing, I think. Holds better on the nose, I think, without running it through the water.
So when you're doing your dry sift, what's your typical way that you do it? Like,
uh,
do you completely
well,
dry
with the one
everything in
right
boxes
now,
or
it's just with the
bags or
150.
just that? Okay.
So let's start with my dry cure process, which is normal. 55, no higher than 60% humidity. We're gonna call it 50 or 55% humidity. Sometimes the temperature gets up in the 70s or the 80s just because I don't have an air conditioner in the room. But ideally, I'd like it to be in the 60s. But that's my drying conditions, right? After it does that for a week to 2 weeks, whenever it is deemed dry by my standards, which is can I put it in a tote and it not homogenize with moisture to the point where it turns into a wet sponge? I don't want it to turn back into a wet sponge after I jar it up or seal it off into a bucket or a tote. This is all by experience. I don't know what this moisture level is. I haven't tested it, but it has to do with number of days and me squeezing it and figuring it out and then giving it an extra X amount of days. Okay, so
Go by
and then
feel,
when I
man.
get, you know what I mean? Yeah, so this is all just based on experience and the time. But once you really dial in the room conditions, the time thing is like as long as I'm sitting between 50 and 60% humidity, I can extend that time a little bit further. It's a nice sealed off room. I'm not getting crazy amounts of oxidization in there. It's dark. There's no UV sunlight coming in. It's almost like it's just sitting in a giant jar. You know what I mean? It's just sitting in a giant jar being controlled with the humidity with the dehumidifier. So then it goes into post production, which is it goes after sitting in hang drying, and I don't go on racks or anything like that. Hang dry. I take off the fan leaf, but I do keep some sugar leaf. Get rid of any sugar leaf that has a petiole, but I keep all the other sugar leaves. I don't do any trimming. And
And what
then
is a
what I do,
petiole?
petiole is the leaf stem. So if it has a big long leaf stem, I get rid of it. If there's no petiole and it's kind of a leaf attached to the bud or attached to the flower, I leave it and I don't do any trimming unless it's really big, massive leaf, and I kind of have to get some of that fiber off of there because that's just gonna get in
Slow
the
the
way of
drying.
the other. Yeah, it's gonna slow the drying process. So then we'll get into the, 2 weeks later when I deem it good enough to go into these totes or buckets. It's going to go into the totes or buckets or jars, or it's going to get sealed off. About 24 hours later, the moisture is going to rehomogenize and it's going to be smokable. Almost, it's pretty much ready at this point. If you want to give it 48 hours, it's even better. If you want to get it 6 months, it's even better. But after I trim it, I start trimming it, trim it dry, and I'll use a trim screen or something, and I'll get some of the stuff will go through the trim screen. But what I'll do is all the stuff that ends up going off to the side, you get little popcorn buds, you get little I don't know, you're probably not gonna be able to see this too well of
It
what's inside
disappeared.
there. You get little popcorn buds, and you get some. I actually separate on my stem. That's gonna make too much noise. I'm not gonna mess with that bag. If I held out a handful, it would be some sugar leaf and a few little like airy popcorn
Little
buds.
lark.
I separate the stems. So actually, when I'm trimming, I get through something, I'll toss my stem off to the one side, and I'll toss my popcorns and my shake off to the other side. Obviously, sometimes I get some stems. That way, at the end, there's a big pile. I'm like, all right, I'll start picking out a few stems. But this way, I don't have to deal with the stems in my bubble bags. I don't have to deal with the stems in my cheesecloth. I don't have to deal with my stems. I don't
You're gonna
have
break it all
to
down
sit there.
anyway.
Yeah, and I don't have to sit there and pick out stems out of like a whole pound of trim, right? Who wants to do that? There could be so many stems in a pound of trim. So get rid of all the big stems and all that stuff goes to compost. Um, this material here, then what I'll do is in a perfect setting, I like to freeze it, maybe freeze it for a little while and try to like maybe while it's in the bag, kind of grind it up. Like I was gonna do something else after it's frozen. It's easier to nice and brittle, and I'll just put it on the trim screen, and just tap on it, and just tap, 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 make a little drum beat. I'll go around on the plastic. I'll hit the I'll hit the screen itself. When you hit the screen itself, all of your shake goes boom, 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 and it all bounces like like they're on a little trampoline. And so you just sit there and just drum with it.
What's nice about that is you can
About how I
stop
do
at
it.
any point and you can look underneath, lift it up and look and see what the color
Yep,
is. And if it starts
yep,
getting really green, you went too far.
yep, yep,
So,
yep.
or you can do it in,
Or
in bits where you do it for like, 1 minute and then you scrape all that up and you put it in one pile and then you put the material back on. So you work it for another 1, 2 minutes, then you
yep.
scrape that off into your second pile. You can get
Or
creative with it.
if it's really green, like really really too green, you
No, it
ground
has
it up too
visceral
much.
hash.
Yeah, you don't want to grind it up too much because then you get the plant material that falls through the screen too. So you know you want to grind up like the buds as much as you can. I suppose there's a lot of leaf material, so you know yin and yang with it. I suppose
Well, and if you're only
keep a
keeping
balance.
the best of the best as smokable bud, I mean, you don't need to keep all that lower stuff. You know what I mean. You might as well make something much better out of it than just straight flour, if that's your thing. You know, Eh, we both are
Giant
obviously,
cannon joints.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually never
can't go
smoked
wrong
one.
with that.
To be honest, I never rolled one. I think it'd be fun to try to roll one, but I've never actually rolled one.
Those huge
So
raw ones that holds like an ounce,
yeah, dude, never done it.
it's like wrapping paper on a
Believe it or
roll.
not, I know. Seriously, I did. However, I'm always running out of papers, and I finally went through these last like 3 packs of papers. So I finally got a couple good. You can't see anything that I'm showing. This isn't even green. A couple good packs of raw blacks, and a good pack of raw 500s. So I'm not going to run out of papers this time.
Smoking
Who you got
brands,
there?
some smoking thin singles, and my brand that I always use is Irie, the Irie
I was looking for
papers.
those while I was there. I think last time, and then
Iries, yeah, I get them
yeah,
at
not today.
BDT.
Today was
Shout out to
strictly
BDT.
I was shooting for the raw 500s because I'm tired of running out of papers.
I used to
Even
get
though
the
these only
300s of the
last me a couple
raws.
months, but yeah, they actually they didn't have any 300s, so I guess I'm just gonna take a 500.
500 is the phone book, man. Yeah, see, we just in the chat saying those small sugary leaves holds lots of strikes. Yeah, man.
They really do. I definitely don't try to get rid of any of them. Like, so when I harvest, all those fans, the big fans, all goes a compost bucket. And then the sugars, there's some that actually have a decent sized petiole that I pluck off. If it has a
Me
bunch of
too.
trichomes on it, I keep all of that, and that
Right,
goes
you
on
just
my
cut that part off at the end, and then you take the other piece off.
yeah.
That's why
I
you have to
take it
have
off the
multiple,
bud, like
either
so many different piles of different
buckets
product.
or I used to use cloning trays uh, to trim on sometimes too in the early days. The smooth bottom one,
I still use saucers, regular.
saucers, yeah, the
Yep, I
18
still use
inchers.
those. Yep. Yeah,
Whenever
I
I
got
use a
a.
saucer, I've always got two sides. You know what I mean? I'm just working,
Mhm.
working, working, and then I'm just start throwing all the trash to the left, good stuff to the right.
But
Keep
I was
going.
using the trim tray for a long time. I love the thing, except let's say I'm like, all right, I love grape glee dry sift. So I'm going to keep the trim tray grape glee. And so what I'll do is I'll leave it as grape glee for like, I don't know, a couple of days, because like I'll be trimming some grape glee and some rainbow driver and some candy grapes and some sour diesel all in the same day. And so I don't want to put it all in the same tray because then I have this huge mix of all these different strains, and I want to like collect it all. I don't want to collect like a little bit because I don't know, you trim like an eighth or something, there's like nothing to collect. What are you
That's
doing
it.
over there?
Jack's talking about using the
Oh, you
skill
got
by
your little
scoop. It's the
scoopers.
little 7-Eleven, man. That's,
Fuck
that's
yeah,
how we get
scuba
down,
scoop.
dude.
Well, I'm gonna start doing the well, when you got it in there off the trim tray, I'm gonna start getting
Yeah.
little paintbrushes and quit using my gift cards.
That was the
I used to
point that
think,
Dan made was that
yeah, that's what I mean. I
you
was gonna
don't
shout him
want
out.
to use your card on that because you will cause little micro scrapes and things like that.
Yeah,
So
mine's all
Dan's
scratched up.
he said to use the brush and then to brush that onto the card as if it was like
Mm,
a dustpan and then transfer it that way.
yeah, I like that. I like that.
Shout out
That
Dan.
little. That was a mute bump. Sorry about that. Again,
Right.
I'm all over the place tonight. All kinds of. I
Where
told
where
you.
did- where
I'm.
is your where's your
I didn't
sound
even have to
effects?
bring in a soundboard, man, because I'm making them all myself.
You
I
know
got all
which one
kinds
you
of
need.
clanks and clings and zinks and coughs and.
Classic indubitably on that one. Cheers. We still have 54 people hanging out with us. It is 12:22 here in Michigan. So I'm sure, yeah, man. I'm sure I'm fucking high. That's what I am.
I'm over here
And with
looking for
that,
the
I'm going to smoke
indubitably.
another one.
If you don't know, that's a stupid soundbite that I made. Maybe one day y'all hear it.
Mondo grinder here.
Yeah, that's a big grinder. Holy cow.
It's the biggest fucking grinder.
That's awesome. Holy
That's a
shit.
huge Santa Cruz. So,
There's some sound effects right there.
yeah, man. Everybody knows the grinder sound effects.
That's
Ooh,
awesome.
it's the late Sesh one.
Dum.
No, it's definitely green. Um, but the size difference between that and like the large cosmic, this cosmic is big as fuck too. So just the size difference. That's a fucking shit ton of weight too, dude. Those are both solid core grinders. Anybody that asks is like, why do you have so many fucking grinders, dude? Because I like to grind up a bunch of different stuff. So like this grinder will have like Keweenaw copper in it. This one will have like the blueberry quintessers. Red's over there laughing.
Well, that's exactly so. That exact reason is why I don't always use my trim tray because I don't have a bunch of trim trays.
Right.
That's the exact reason. If I had a bunch of trim trays, I would only use trim tray. So what I use a bunch of saucers because it's easier if I had to literally clean up every single time I did any trimming. All I would be doing is cleaning up and trimming. So like I finished doing some trimming and they just get stacked up. You know what I mean? And then I go through and I take the trim off of it you know. And after a couple of days, I take the trim off of it and I bag it up, and then it collects in the bag. When there's enough in the bag,
Right.
then I take it over to the trim tray and I do my little drumming on the trim tray, and then I collect it in the jar. So lately, the trim tray has kind of just turned into a sifting device. But
And drum machine.
in it's a size thing too. You know, my it has it's
Rick
not
Wolf
a
is saying that size does matter.
decent
So
size. Of course, it matters. Absolutely. Hey, thanks, Daddy Red. Daddy Red jumping in chat. See you there. He
here's Daddy Red.
it's what what would you say? It's about 18 inches long or so. I use like the 13-inch sized round saucers sometimes.
It's
So
like
it
the
gives
big
me a
18.
little, yeah. So it gives me a little bit. I mean, it's not much. I mean, a couple inches here and there, but it gives me enough space to like put some extra shit on my table. Cell phone, whatever. Got my laptop sitting there. There's a glass of water sitting there. There's a couple remote controls with TV.
Jar
Whatever.
of alcohol, so you get the other scissors soaking.
Scissors, bunch of scissors, and there's a thing for my stems, a thing for my finished buds, a thing for my trim. Yeah, so you know, the smaller the tray for me, the better, because I just sit over one little spot and I don't make a mess. You know what I mean? Yeah, some shit falls on the ground, but it's not like like Edward Scissorhands.
Right.
Definitely been there. Edward Scissorhands is shit, and dude, just stems will fly across my room. I will always step on stems. Constantly stepping on stems in my house.
You can hear that shit in the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, there's lots of vacuuming going on. Got to keep a clean house when you're processing. You having a big dusty house.
Spartan hung with us for a good while. Cheers, brother. Get some rest. I know you got to go to work in the morning.
Cheers, everybody.
I got to work early in the morning too, so there won't be a 3-hour show tonight. Okay. Red
Almost.
reminds me of an old video I seen from the '70s of somebody using a big ass like a wooden chillum.
Oh yeah.
Like blows the smokes all around his whole face. Yeah.
I got a big wooden chillum. I was always really weirded out about smoking out of it though. Wondering, am I smoking like the pipe? How hard of wood is this pipe that you know?
I don't think
it,
it'd be that bad. I don't see it catching fire because you're not sitting there holding it to it like that. Yeah, you should be fine. And then after it, you mean you can pre-burn the bowl too. You know what I mean?
so like I've definitely smoked out of it. Just smoked flour out of it. I haven't smoked hash or anything out of it. But
You need to get you one of those stone ones, the big tall, the old
stone,
cone, the cone
yeah.
stone ones. You know what I mean? The big ones.
I always find cool stuff at festivals and shit. But this last time, I got this. It looks like looks like some like shaman pipe or something. It's kind of cool.
That's a good explanation for it.
Bunch of fucking silicone and hot
Hot glue.
glue and shit shoved down it. Excuse me.
Really for a
Can't
show and
fucking smoke out of
decoration.
it, dude. I'm so bummed out. My parents went to I think New Zealand. I think that sounds right. And they had they had like these hobbit pipes, and they were going to give me a hobbit pipe from New Zealand, but they were like $200 or something like that, and they were props. They weren't smokable at all. There was no hole in them or anything. They were just complete. All it was a fake pipe for $200 from the Lord of the Rings.
So you know what you could do is you could take an outdoor plant that you have, and you could find a really good part of the main stalk. You could trim it, and you could dry it, completely dry it, sand it out, drill through, and there you go. Now you're smoking the plant through the plant.
What you want to use? Good hardwood. You want to use like a mahogany or oak or something, right? Definitely don't want to use like pine or
Come on, that sap, dude. That's resin.
I guess so. Maple. Good dude, maple. There you go. Maple would
It's
be
like
great.
syrup, bro.
I've always been a fan of birch. I'd be afraid now. Birch, the bark is like very flammable,
Like
incredibly
paper. Yeah.
flammable. Yeah. So I wonder if there's anything going on in the birch that would not work. It would like catch on fire maybe more. Although I don't know if birch is that hard of a wood. think it's a little bit on the softer side as well.
That's the R&D side of Red Setter Farm.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Although I want a nice birch walking stick. Wink, wink.
Those big gnarled ones, kind of crooked.
Yeah, I'm a fan of birch trees, man. They're lifesavers.
You know, one thing about birch trees, rarely will you see just one unless it's in somebody's yard. But if you see them out like along the highway, if you see one, you'll see like a shit ton more around them, and it's always where it's wet.
Yeah, you always know you're getting to northern Michigan when you start seeing the more than a couple birch trees. You know, you start seeing birch forest, you're getting a lot closer to northern Michigan. Love it.
And this is some relaxing ass smoke right here.
What's that? What'd you put in
Uh,
there? Salad?
this is still the Keweenaw headlights and CBG, and I can't remember what the other one was in there.
Good night, fresh cut.
Yeah. Mr. Greach says, do you all smoke blunts? Uh, yeah, usually when we have get-togethers, I know that Abolished Farms is always rolling blunts. Finger Lakes Finest, also part of the Grow Off, really super cool dude. He grows or rolls some really big ass fucking blunts. So
Used to roll blunts. Ever since I quit smoking cigarettes, we'll round back to the cigarette conversation. I've stopped smoking any nicotine. So, excuse me. So I don't do cigars or anything either. I've done a palm. What are the king palms? Or the cordia
yeah,
leaf? Cordia? Am I right about that? Cordia plant, something like
I
that.
don't know.
I don't think it's palm, but it's made by the company King Palm.
And Tight
And
is
it's
saying that it sounds
nice.
like you're getting a couple more hash bowls and you're gonna bring the late Sesh sexy voice came to it.
It might just happen. This Death Star is, a couple years old, so like Scobo was saying, CBNs. It's gonna be good for sleepy time.
The Big Ripper.
Yeah, man. I don't know if I'm gonna make nachos after this. I was gonna go for nachos. I was gonna go for
Stoner nachos.
tilapia nachos. Yeah, tilapia
Oh,
nachos, tacos. Yep, yeah.
chocolate sauce and anchovies.
Almost two. Oh, well, it is Tuesday, so hitting that Taco Tuesday early.
You're hitting that shit early as shit today. Hey, we're 32 minutes into it. Fuck it. Feel like a taco.
Ready for it. Well, it'll be an hour into it. Hour into Taco Tuesdays. I did, man. I got a couple avocados today. I'm ready for it. Gearing up. The Corey is correct. Jack says, all right. Yeah, man.
Nice job.
That's okay.
Yeah,
So
man.
I started out. My first blunt was Phillies. Smoked some Phillies. Split it open. Man, I think I was like 13. I was like 13 or 14 years old. Daddy Red still in chat. He might.
He went to bed, so
13 or 14, and I was like 13
busted.
or 14 down in
Busted.
Florida, hanging out with one of my cousins, and we were smoking and whatnot all day. And in the morning, it was like one of those experiences. I was like, I've never been this high before, whatever. Maybe I wasn't. It was before I was smoking. This was earlier in the day. I was too young. I was too young to for what we were doing. So
what we were doing.
So he pulls up to a gas station. He was young. He was like 16, 17, right? Pulls up to a gas station, goes and gets a Philly blunt, and he's like, I gotta roll this Philly blunt. I need you to drive. I'm like, dude, I've never driven a car before. He's like, well, I need you to drive. I'm like, I've driven a golf cart.
Drive.
Same as a golf cart. Drive. All right. So he has me, and I'm in Florida, by the way, and so no license, Florida. Drive.
So like every other Floridian.
Allegedly, driving around while he's rolling this blunt, and then we swap. So we eventually swap when he's done, and then we smoke it, and it was the first time I ever drove a car, actually. I totally forgot about that story until right now. So that's kind of funny that I just brought that up. So Philly blunts was the first kind of blunt that I ever smoked. And then from there, I had smoked Phillies for a long time until it ended up turning into like White Owls. White Owls was a popular one. And we get the White Owls in the tubes. Before White Owls were about the same size as Philly, and they came in the plastic wrapper. And then they came in the tubes. We were doing the tubes for a while. And then the White Owls turned into cigarellos for some, maybe Swishers, and then went to Swisher, and I did Swishers for a while, and then I did Dutch Masters for a long time. I dug the Dutchies, man. Just all
Pass
leaf,
the Dutchie
real
to the
silver leaf.
left.
And then so I did Dutch, and I liked the green pack Dutch Masters because it just smelled and tasted like chocolate. It just had this chocolate note that was, I loved it. And I'd pull the cardboard, the paper out of it, and I would just roll it with that little thin, that super thin leaf, and I would just roll these little cigarellos with
Get
with
blown
just that
out.
thin leaf. Oh yeah, it was great, and I really miss it, man. I was actually thinking about that today. It's funny you bring up blunts because I almost got a pack today. I almost got a pack of Dutch Masters. So I was like, man, that would just be really tasty. I don't know, man. Just haven't had any nicotine or cigarettes or anything. I don't desire it by any means, and I'm not against smoking
Then you
a
got to remember
cigar
you
or
got the
something at
woods
one
too. You know what
point
I
in my
mean?
life. See, and the thing is, I stopped smoking blunts. I feel like when I stopped smoking blunts, Swisher Sweets were still Swisher Sweet. Swisher Sweets were still like the main blunt to get, and then it got started going to backwoods kind of after, or at least people started talking about backwoods. You open up Instagram and it's all backwoods, and I'm like, oh, that was like after I stopped smoking cigarettes. And actually never really did the backwood thing until
Kate, yeah, she
Kate
rolls those big
had
ones.
rolled the fatty, which was really awesome, fucking phenomenal fatty. She rolls those like Bam Bam hammers, dude.
They are,
Fucking
and you
awesome.
know what's so? It's like they're just rolled so well, you don't feel like your lungs are collapsing when you're trying to hit this huge motherfucker. But at the same time, it never gets any like crazy runs in it or anything where it's not loose. So shout out Candy Kate.
Yeah, and it was good too. So I miss smoking blunts. I don't mind them at all. I'd smoke a good one. I'm not a big fan. Sorry, Abolish. I'm not a big
That's
fan of like the wraps. They're like sweet. They're sweet in a weird way that I'm not a big fan of. They're just when because maybe because I've rolled with them so much and they fall apart, and I can just tell that like that it's kind of like I don't know, like a processed leaf, so to speak. But I guess that's what like probably Swishers and a lot of others are too. It's just I don't know. Maybe it's the flavor of them. That like super duper fruity flavor. I'm not a huge fan of.
so
I
if
don't.
somebody
I
bumps into you
like.
on the street, you want a swisher, is what you're saying.
I would rather have a bland. Yeah, man. I drink my coffee black. I drink my iced tea without sugar. I'm not a big
Right, Mr. Excitement.
flavor fan, aside from like the raw flavor of good cannabis or something, good coffee, but again, like I'm not going to sweeten it up or anything.
Yeah, where's the ubiquitous tea at, man? Usually you've got the tea, the hot chocolate, something jumping off you just down here, cotton mouthing.
Just cotton mouth and a glass of water right now. I was thinking about it and I was like, no, not right now. I'm over here. My damn camera thing popped off again. I'm looking at it. So if anybody's wondering, yeah, I had a little something go on. I'm not gonna talk about it because maybe you're watching. I don't know if you're watching, so you might be watching. I'm just
Shout out
joking.
to the split, man. That's still
Shout out to the dude. Yeah, no, I had somebody in my camera this week, so on my building. So I was just making sure.
on get. That's what you got to do. Stamp at him like a fucking cat.
Had to do a little go on get somebody this week, so you know.
Which cracks me up because like everybody's on camera for fucking everything anymore. Like if you're outside of your house, just assume you're being recorded by somebody somewhere. Somebody's fucking doorbell ring or whatever the hell it is. You know what I mean?
It's great nowadays because you can talk to them, ask them what the hell they're doing.
It's
Yeah,
great. That's
I
what I look forward to. Talking to fucking trespassers.
TM420 says Swish is all right. Still ruins the flavor. I'm still. That's why I still stick with like I even go down to like as thin of a paper as I can, which is the raw black. I'm sure there's another brand thin
Dude,
out
look,
there, maybe just a rice or a
look.
hemp or something that's super
This is
duper
a ripped
thin.
one.
Probably what Scribble's got.
These are super thin. Uh, this is the smoking brand, the thinnest one. The dude at the smoke shop dropped these on
It
me and was
says
like,
thinnest.
"Yeah,
I believe that.
yeah." He was like, "Here, man, check these out," because I go on there and fucking buy papers and shit. Then I got smart and I bought instead of going to the store and buying a pack of Iries for like 250. I just went on Amazon and I bought like a case of them for like 25 bucks. Oh, we doing the burn test? Oh shit! This makes me feel like it's some kind of 2011 video.
On.
I got wind in here, so still going. Yeah. I used to use a lot of element papers because I always felt those burned off really well too.
Want to say that Element was the same dude that does Raw. I think he did Element before he did Raw. I think that's Josh's was Josh's brand. I might be mistaken though. I'm not sure.
Jack saying he's not a fan of the flavored joint papers or blunt wraps. Yeah, yeah. I feel like for me personally, it's something we used to do when we had swaggy shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if
Yep. Yep.
you would get the grape wrap or something like that, and you know, from swag to riches.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, see,
Honestly.
Jack says fun fact: Element is owned by Raw. Well, there you go. Jack's got your back tonight, there, right?
Yeah. I mean that is a great point. I mean, man, the weed was just. I wouldn't want to smoke it in a bowl. Really, I'd like a nice glass piece. The way that I smoke like some of the stuff that tastes like strawberries and oranges and I don't know,
Apple.
funky skunks is even
Yeah.
awesome. And it's strange to say that in a sentence. It's fun to taste something that tastes like skunk, but it is. It's nice. Yeah, the apples. I mean, man, there's just so many good flavors of cannabis that I don't like to hide. Now I do enjoy. It's hard. I don't want to discredit it because a good blunt overcast with that, like an actual good leaf blunt, is really good. I don't know. I think that if I had something like grape glee that already has like a grapey berry type of a flavor, and I threw a grape flavored wrap on top of it, I don't know if it would be overpowering. Somebody might really really like that. So I could see where that would be very
Okay.
complimentary because there
If
are
I had
people that
really good
like
grapey
sweet stuff.
smoke, I would rather just relish the smoke, like Jack's saying. You know what I mean? Give me the thinnest paper I can get away with, twist that up, and burn that down. Or have a really clean piece of glass. You know, like there's nothing like a squeaky clean bong and bowl to really, really be able to try a flavor on. I'm always, old school is if like if I roll a joint and I pass it to Red and I'd be like, bro, dry hit this, man. What are you tasting? Like
Oh, that's
that
one
kind
of
of
my favorite
enjoyment.
things, dude.
Yeah, and
Yes,
then
yes.
you hand it
Yep.
back, then you fire it up, and then I
No,
don't know, man. That's the way we did it
there
for a
there
long
is
time,
something
man.
about a blunt that is almost it's almost hot. It's almost like spicy or something. Like when you first put it in your mouth and try to like do a dry pull, and then you like lick your lips and you get like this like burn. I don't know if maybe it's just me. You ever get like a burn from like the tobacco or something? But it changes the flavor of that dry pull in quite a way. Really tastes like tobacco. Um, I don't know, man. It's a fun concept to talk about, like rolling cigars. I think. Have you ever had a cannabis leaf cigar?
No, I have not.
That's an interesting one. I had one at the cup a couple years ago. I got a chance to DJ for Herbal Solutions, so I was up on the like VIP deck up there.
Well,
And they had
la
they had a
ti da.
big one going around up there. Dude, it was like loaded with
How did it burn?
key and it
Oh wow.
burned good, man, and it tasted delicious. It was really, really good. And it was a legit, like, I don't know if it was like one of those Gene Carlos Magars or whatever it was. It was good, man. It was damn good. I don't know what I don't know what was in it. Might have been GMO or something. Um, it was funky, really, really funky. Big sucker, dude.
Yeah,
But it was
and Canna
cannabis
Bros
leaf.
420 is saying, blunts suck for him. Hey, you know what? That's the whole thing is that there's so many different ways for you to enjoy the herb. Maybe you're one of those people that goes, I don't know what all these people see in smoking it. I would much rather eat it or juice it or whatever. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter.
I know I'm sitting here trying to figure out my next method of burning one. We
Consumption.
still got 15 minutes, and that's yeah. So I'm thinking about either doing a 50-50 with some more dry sift and herb. That way it just kind of burns and I don't have to keep flicking it. So I want to just yeah, I mean that's my thing. Like I enjoy smoking a bowl without having to light it. A it's just a pain in the ass trying to light it, right? Just constantly flick, flick, flick. When we're sitting here trying to have a conversation, flick, flick, flick.
It's the
B
authenticity of the sesh, Red. It's just like real.
B it's the butane. Breathing in butane. Breathing in right. So like I know we got the hemp wicks and stuff, which I failed to grab and I'm out of. I don't have any of those. But it's
I
still
need one of
like it's
those
something you
lighters
gotta
that
put
has
out. You gotta
those.
put them out. You know, you gotta have something those things are a fire hazard. You know what I mean? Like I want a non-fire hazard way of being able to spark my
Have you ever
bowl.
seen those ones that is like electronic and you push it and it's like a little probe that gets warm and you use that to light your bowls?
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
No. You got a little that's pretty sweet. I was almost thinking like in my mind like a wood burner or something like that. Similar to something like that.
Yeah.
Little piece of metal.
Some other dangerous thing to get really fucking burned out.
A really dangerous thing to use next to your hand.
You won't make that mistake too many times.
Jack, you're looking at one of those college kids that would buy the cheapest bud they could find and roll as many blunts as they wanted. That's definitely
That
a bud.
that was it.
Yeah, I think it was like 60 or 80 bucks an ounce. Easy.
Oof.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you know the quality on that.
If you said 100 and I was like, okay, what year? If you get that hook up on the $100 onions, but
No, like I could get green for 80. It was green for 80. It wasn't green any lower than 80.
I would think not. Unless that shit had some green food dye coloring in it.
Definitely loaded with seeds at 80. 100, 120, it might not have seeds, but it was
You can't
not
use it. Yeah.
fresh. It was still compressed. It was still.
Still have a corner when you got it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, dude. I got a bag
Oh, I
one
got the
time.
corner piece,
Like
man.
I, for
Yeah.
the longest time, I just thought I was like,
That
shit,
was the
man.
bud. Wow, that bud
It's the
shaped
bud,
like a
but
big letter L.
there was like so many inches of stick throughout it, dude. But it was just a big long. It was like a whole bag full of like 10 and 12-inch long sticks. They were all green, all look great, trimmed, but I don't know. Had to have been local. Had to have been local.
Yeah. It wasn't all smashed down like pocket fucking weed.
It really wasn't all smashed down and
Okay.
shitty. Yeah, it was not bad. It was pretty solid. Limited on seeds.
Well, we were
Low
talking
on
about
seeds.
that 50 on the Mexican. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
And that's the
about
thing is we've smoked some
3rd or
serious
4th
trash
round.
through the years. And it's not like it's a badge of honor, like, hey, I've smoked shitty weed. But it's to me, it's more of like an appreciation of where we're at now. Where everybody used to say that it was sensey, sensitive, but shit, it wasn't back when I was fucking coming out. You didn't stop seeing seeds until really a few years ago. You still see random seeds thrown up in the bud.
I always my story I feel like always changes. I always talk about all these different ways on why I started smoking weed because there's just so many like cannabis has just been
So many
fascinating.
affirmations, Red. So
Yeah.
many affirmations.
It's just a fascinating thing for me throughout like my youth growing up and formative years, whatever. The the fact that I never had a clear understanding on what an actual flower looked like because I had seen like pictures of it in high times, right? And I had seen this like beautiful flower, but then I would see it in a bag and I would see this thing, this stem sticking out all these different directions. And I was like, how does it go from this to this? What is the, what, how? So I had to figure it out on my own basically and it took literally growing my own plant, drying it, and figuring it out to go, oh, so this is what happens when it, I don't know, it happens, whatever.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man. It really is. It's been a fun ride. Long, strange trip it's been.
Tell him, Jerry. We're gonna have to play us out before we go for the evening. We're gonna have to come
Yeah,
back in
man.
with your friend's music and go out
Yeah,
that
man.
way.
I actually was playing. I was playing it through this talking part, and then I forgot to turn it back on. So I'll have to.
He's still sharing his audio, so he's still able. If he starts his music back, it'll come
Is
through.
it still playing?
Yeah, come on. There you go.
It's going. It's rolling.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes to shut down with, so we can jam out a little bit here. I just want to say thanks to everybody for hanging out with us tonight. We always appreciate you. You never know what the hell we're going to talk about because we don't know what we're doing. It's completely off the cuff. Thing that I like is Red always makes me laugh, and I know it makes you guys laugh. So, cheers.
Yeah, man. It's always a fun Monday night getting a chance to hang out with you, Scobo, getting a chance to hang out with chat and see what everybody's up to. And man, it's great that you guys spend your evening hanging out with us.
Baby, don't leave.
Us. Yeah, baby, don't leave. I dig it. The like you were talking about it earlier. We'll circle around and finish off on that. The community thing.
Is the music too loud, guys, or is it just right?
Let me know if
Drop it a
I
little
can turn
bit.
it down if you need me to. I'm gonna drop it a little bit because it might be distracting for me.
That's what you always see in videos. Is they're like, turn the music down.
Community.
Dude, I do love fucking Hall & Oates. For real, man. Yeah, shit.
Did I not tell you that I thought that you were singing Hall & Oates too? So Skibbo,
Oh, you used to think that the baby come back.
Yeah, Skibbo and I have been on opposite wavelengths with this whole baby come back thing until I realized what song he was talking about. He was doing this baby come back other thing, and I thought it was the Hall & Oates baby come back. So this whole time he's got this who was it, dude? The Jerry curls or something? What were you calling? What was the name of
It's the name of the band is Player.
Player.
Yeah. No, it's just it's an inside joke, man. We used to in the very beginning we would get so far off that I would have to hit red with the baby come back to bring it back on the topic, and
I love
just
it.
have fun
Dude.
with it.
And I thought it was a Hall & Oates, dude. And I totally
See, Jack says, you know what it is. You can blame it all
was
on
so
me.
close. Yeah, dude. Yeah, and I thought it was the you can blame it all on me. Yep.
That's all right. When the joke works with two songs, it's even better.
It's so great, dude. Yeah, it's totally awesome. And
Yeah,
and again, man,
it's seriously, if you want to see some cool shit, the Daryl Hall does some really good shit. That's later on. I can't think of what it is. Ah, dude, it's been so long. My dad is an old guitarist from a long time ago, and so I was raised with music all the time. So for me, like, if I'm not doing, some kind of live stream or something like that, I've got music on, whether it's in, earbuds or jamming out in my car, work, doesn't matter. Always got to have music.
hell yeah, Cam Bros. Yeah, dude. Music for me is it's one of those always growing up forever. I don't know what it was, man. It's just always like my turn to. If I'm having a bad day, if I'm having a good day, it doesn't matter. It always like help. I don't know. Maybe it has to do with putting you in that moment. Like in the moment, not in the moment of the music, but like just when you're singing a song or like you're focused on like the song, token one or something. You're not really worrying about the past. You're not worrying about the future. You're just in the song. You're in the moment.
We're having this conversation right now, right? And we got this chill music behind us going on, right? But imagine if we were playing some, like really, really heavy metal right now, or if we were playing some other kind of music, it changes the entire setting.
Mood changers.
Yeah, man. You could change the channel. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. Shredder's talking about the recording sessions in his house. That's what it is. We're a few years old. Doc Dankenstein is still hanging out. What's up, brother?
Yeah, the swinging it back around, man. Community, it's been great. The 2020 grow off, the whole nine, just the whole everybody in chat, everybody who tunes in, everybody who wants to hang out with us. We don't, I mean, we're not talking science or anything crazy. I mean, we're telling stories and making a bunch of weird noises while our shit falls over and breaks, and all you guys hang on. We've got 67 people kicking it with us. It's
Right,
fun
man.
times, man. It's good. It's Monday night, late night, session wise, and we're just burning hash and kicking it. So thank you all. I really appreciate it. It's fun. So this is one of those just topicless nights, we're just telling stories and
Yep.
BS in the chat. Great, man.
It's yeah. Doc says smoking. That's all we're doing, man. Smoking, kicking it, being entertained.
It like turns into that time right now where we start just it'll turn into that another hour show because we just start talking like
And yeah,
like
because I know it'll turn the corner real quick and we'll
Yep.
get down a rabbit hole. Like, damn.
start going down the rabbit holes of community.
2112 on 8-track. Yeah, man. That old Rush.
Dude,
Sometimes I
Dude.
just get fucking laughing at chat, dude. It's just crazy.
I remember, I think I was, how old was I? I was probably I was a teenager, man. I don't know, maybe like 13 or 14. I helped my dad pick up this pontoon boat, and it's like old pontoon boat, first pontoon boat, it's gonna be a little party barge. They got an 8-track player, and it came with like a stack, like a little stack of like, I don't know, man, like 6 or 8 tracks, like
Wow. That's the Conway Twitty.
Eagles. It was like, yeah, man, a handful of that's all his fucking boat would play. So you know what?
Fuck that boat. We ain't going out on it no more.
I took the boat out, dude. I had to play fucking 8 tracks, dude. You got to put the 8-track in. You got to fucking play it through. Pull that fucker out. You turn it over. You play it through the other way. It doesn't rewind. Doesn't do shit. You just play it back and forth. You just flip it and play it. Flip it and play it. Those are fun. That's a
cassette,
strange,
yeah.
That's a strange one, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird because it wouldn't like rewind or fast forward, and I was so used to cassettes being able to do it at the time. I think CDs were definitely around. CDs were around my whole life, so
yeah.
I was more, but growing up, I was into cassettes.
It used to be the thing to tape the shit on the radio, man.
Yeah,
when you're like a young kid.
Totally. Yeah, actually, like a little microphone deal. Hook up a little microphone to the TV, record MTV music videos, because they wouldn't be able to play that stuff on. They wouldn't be able to play that stuff on the radio, man. It's all censors. Got to like get it off of MTV.
Like MTV wasn't censored. You just talking about what, like 120 minutes, or probably didn't have that when you were growing up.
It was probably just different radio stations I couldn't find.
College stations. Yeah, see, no flipping the 8 tracks. You just had the little selector thing. You just bumped it.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
is
you
that
just
what it
bumped
was?
it to the next one. Or cassette tape's the one that gets flipped.
I thought the
they had
track
reel-to-reels
flipped,
before that.
and then there was 2 sides. Okay,
that's a real.
I'm totally wrong.
It's all, dude. It's a long time ago. Yeah, the boom boxes, man. Can't live without my radio with the LL. Oh shit, man. Baby, come back.
Come back. It's great, dude.
Are we blaming it all on you?
Yeah, dude, you can. You can blame it on hash. You can blame it on whatever. It's good night, man. I'm just happy I'm finally stocked up on papers.
That's like, yeah, man. This is the first time in a few weeks that you went straight on those. Do I have
any little warning papers laying around? I've been hitting warning papers like crazy. I've been shuffling. Like raw. They give you like the 5-paper warning at the very bottom.
Oh, the
like
warning
which could be a paper. Like it could have been a paper, but you wasted.
No, of course you're gonna waste, and it's thicker than the papers too.
So, yeah, a little bit. There could have been a couple papers. So I'm getting distracted. This dude's shouting in the background. Sorry, guys. This dude's so anyway, that's my homie. That's Liquid Thickness, and
you can check them out on Spotify.
On Spotify, and also in the Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti area. hopefully they're going to do their, well, actually I probably shouldn't even
Yeah.
advertise it, but last year they did a festival called Groove On Up, and next year hopefully Groove On Up will happen again. This year it's going to be a intimate, if they even do it, intimate. They were talking maybe 100 people. Now that might even be way smaller, so who knows. Maybe it'll even only be online or something like that, so I don't even know. But last year they had a pretty awesome little festival, and hopefully it'll continue in the future. We're all just hoping for better times and more festivals to come. So a lot more art to be had and a lot more progress to be made this fall and winter, and then we're just gonna get back into the scene.
Yeah.
Man, it's been crazy not having like festivals to attend, to try to get prepared for, to obviously cannabis events. I do art and things like that at festivals, and I always like get ready and take a whole bunch of hash with me and stuff like that, and personal supply, and
Good
it's
times.
just a lot. It's a lot easier to carry a bunch of hash for the weekend than it is a bunch of bags of weed. Big bag of weed, because they don't take it, like, you don't get in trouble for carrying a big bag of weed, but they confiscate it and they smoke it. They take it from you and they keep it, and it's stupid. You know what I
Rat
mean?
bastards.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, man.
So I try my best to like conceal. So I got my special little hiding spots that I'm not going to disclose. Um, so I keep my little hiding spots, and I hash, nice little concentrated mix of weed to get me through the weekend.
That's it.
So yeah, man.
Any shout outs before we ride?
Yeah, dude. Daddy Red, Mama Red, family, friends, everybody, man. It's been a crazy, wild ride of a week, and there's been a lot of people that have been there for me. So just shout out to everybody. Shout out to the cannabis community, and dude, these shows, man. You know, shout out to summertime. Cheers, everybody. Peace out.
There it is. Before we go, if you are able to and are a morning bird, make sure that you stop by Thursday mornings at 6 a.m. to catch Wake and Bake with the Groskies with Sequence and myself, Dankman Dan, and Tara. And always come through on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. for the huge cannabis block that we have. And you can start that with Jack and growing with my fellow growers. They come up at 7 o'clock. And then you come over to our channel at 9 o'clock when that goes off and catch Bro Show live till 11. Other than that, I am Skilbo17 on YouTube, Skilbo1 on Instagram. We love y'all. Be safe. Take nothing for granted. Be good to yourself and all others.